Hey, how's it going everybody? This is Caleb from Likeable Gaming. In this video, I'm going to be presenting my argument for The Last of Us Part 2. Now before I say anything else, I do want to say that this video contains a lot of spoilers, so this is the spoiler warning. So if you haven't watched my buyer pass on The Last of Us 2, basically, I like the game. I think that there's a lot to like here, and yes, there are major parts of the game that I don't like, and I wish that could be different, but we have the story that we have, and if you really give it a chance, I think that there's a lot to like here. I can kind of see it from both sides on both the weak points and the strong points of the story. Now, if you're curious on the parts that I didn't like, I do have a video on the argument against The Last of Us 2. So aside from the game looking absolutely incredible and the gameplay and combat mechanics being super solid and extremely fun, the main thing people are upset about is the story.
Joel, please get up!
So, yeah, Joel is dead. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I would prefer this story over one where Joel was alive, but there was a point where I realized that once you accept this death, you can kind of move on and look for the good things in the story. Regardless of whether I think it was necessary or not, I do think it presents us with a really unique story that you don't really find in many other games. I think that Naughty Dog went really bold here, and they went with something that was controversial. I think we all know that Joel isn't perfect, and he never was perfect. The choice that he makes in the last game was morally wrong, and you can't really justify it. Now, I think that we can all say that we were happy that he made that choice, but if you think about it, it was really messed up, and he did kill a lot of innocent people. The game really tries to highlight the consequences for our actions, and that there are more sides to the story than just the main protagonist. Now, I think that there was a really important reason for this death.
Hi.
Naughty Dog was trying to invoke an emotion. They were trying to get us angry and infuriated so that we kind of get blinded to seeing other people's points of view or their motivations. All we cared about was killing Abby. And I think that's kind of what they were going for. The purpose of killing Joel was to make all of us angry. Now, like I said before, I don't prefer Joel being dead, but when it's all said and done, we get a really unique story and something that I think will stay with people for a while. So I'm not going to go through every single character from Abby's arc because frankly I didn't really find too many of them interesting. One character that I really liked was Owen. Owen was funny and down to earth, and you even see him talking about seeing things from the other side. I think Owen was probably the most morally sane character out of all the characters in this game.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. Talk to me.
And I'll even admit that at the start of the game, I actually didn't really like him too much. But as the story went on and I got to know him more, I actually really enjoyed seeing his input in all this. But if we weren't presented with this scenario, I don't think that we ever really would have seen his side of things. Now, another character that I think really added to the game was actually Jesse. I don't see too many people talking about Jesse, but I actually really think that he was a really solid character. I mean, even the first time that he showed up in the game, I already knew that I really liked him.
This is awkward.
I'm messing with you, man. I don't care. Get dressed.
You're the worst.
He's funny, and you can really tell that he actually cares about his friends. Because we lost Joel, in this game, we did get a lot more time with Tommy. And I think that Tommy is kind of the polar opposite of Joel, and he has that humanity that Joel lost at the beginning of the first game. I actually really like seeing Tommy at the forefront of this game.
Dad, come on! You can't keep doing this.
So, obviously, we need to talk about Abby. Now, I'm going to go out there and say that I enjoyed the first half of the game rather than the later half where you play as Abby, but I do think that she does have some traits that are likable. Obviously, at the start of the game, we already established that we didn't like her. And I think that Naughty Dog really exemplifies the tragic past that she had. This is the unique take on the game. We never see things from the other side. We automatically think that the other side is evil and that the protagonist is the good person. We don't know or see the connections and loved people of the people that we kill or directly affect in the video games. But in The Last of Us 2, we see exactly the effect that we have. When we play as Ellie, we kill all of Abby's friends. And I think it's safe to say that obviously she's going to want revenge. There was a specific part in the game that was kind of an eye-opener for me. It was at the point where you're moving from place to place in the road and trying not to get killed by the sniper. Naughty Dog intentionally made this part infuriating because the thing is that when you get to the sniper, you find out that it's Tommy. Now when you're trying not to get killed by the sniper, at least I was getting really irritated and thinking that I really hate this sniper. And then you realize that it's Tommy, and at that point, that's when you realize that you are seeing things through the other side. If you can think of it this way, Tommy as a sniper is you as Joel in the first game. You don't see things from the other side, but the unique thing about this game is that you see everything from the other side. Now when it comes down to it, it's going to be subjective as to if you really do sympathize with Abby or not. If you can understand the reason for Joel's death, then you might actually be able to like this game. Now there's a point where you're Abby and you're hiding from Ellie. You see her crafting things, and obviously this is showing you how it looks from the other side. When you get to the end of this part, you see that both Abby and Ellie lost a lot of their humanity. As it is for Ellie being the last piece of humanity that Joel had, the little boy was the last piece of humanity that Abby had. This point of the game, I did not want Abby to kill Ellie. In fact, I probably would have had a complete different opinion on the game if she did kill Ellie. But the single balancing centerpiece on whether you like the game or not is going to depend on the next part of the story. At the end of the game, the situation is flipped. Now you're Ellie trying to kill Abby. Like I said before, it's going to be subjective as to whether you wanted her to kill Abby or not. But this is what Naughty Dog was trying to do. Naughty Dog went through this entire story to loosen up your hate on Abby. At the start of the game, you wanted to kill Abby, and that's all you wanted to do. At the end of the game, depending on how the story worked for you, you don't want Ellie to kill Abby. Now, obviously, her being extremely weak and near death does play a factor into this, but at least for me, I think that I didn't want her to kill Abby because I saw the other side of things. And just as I didn't want Abby to kill Ellie, I didn't want Ellie to kill Abby. And in that context, that's where Naughty Dog did a good job, at least in my opinion. Overall, I think that it really does depend on how the story works for you. Yes, I probably would prefer a game where Joel was alive, but if you can understand the reasoning behind it and you can appreciate the uniqueness of the story, I think that there are some things to like here. And I think that there is an argument for The Last of Us Part 2. And that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. Be sure to check out our gaming podcast and also my other video on the argument against The Last of Us 2.